Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of How to Program in Java. Today we're going to be looking into Booleans, and basically if you don't know what that means, it's just a fancy word for true or false. So you're going to use Booleans quite a bit. You can use it for whether something can be used or accessed or whatever. So again, if you watched the last video, we went into integers, and you should know about scope and everything, so I'm just going to go over it one more time. So to create a Boolean, you say Boolean, the name of it, and whether it's true or false, or you can put null, which means neither. So we're just going to put true here. So again, as we went to the last video about scope, this is publicly accessible throughout our program here, this part of the program throughout this class. And to create a local variable, you just name it inside your void, and that's a local variable for your void. Alright, so let's go into how we actually do things with this. So we have here B. You can do a system out, and you can type in B, and it'll give you the value whether it's true or false, as you can see. Sorry. Give me a moment. Again, remember static. I'm sorry. Just put that in. You probably don't understand what that is yet. We'll go into that in the future. Okay, so as you can see here, it says true because that's what this says, and if I change this to false, it'll say that it's false, and if I change it to null, then it's going to say it's null. Well, I'm sorry. Just forget that part. Okay. So what can we do with this, you're thinking? So in the next video, in the next few videos, we're going to go over if statements, but this is basically what you do with Boolean. So you can type in if b equals true, and if that's true, then we can do something. So this is a big part of what you're going to do with Booleans. And you can get creative. You could say static Boolean allow music equals false. And basically anything that has to have this being true won't be accessed unless this is true, is basically what that means. So you're not going to understand what any of this means, but I'm just going to go ahead and give you an example of what we use this for. So if we have a print line that says this is true, and we run this, it's going to say this is true, but let's change B to false and see what happens. Then it's going to say absolutely nothing, as you can see. So this is basically what you can do with Booleans. I just basically gave you the basic of this. You're not going to know what this means yet, but we'll get into all this stuff later. This is not true. And as you can see, I'm sorry. And as you can see right here, it says this is not true. And if I change B back to true, then guess what? It's going to say that this is true. So I'm going to show you another thing, and you don't understand anything about if statements, but I'm just trying to show you basically what you can use Booleans for. So Booleans can be changed at any time in your program. So if there was a certain condition met and then you wanted to make B equals false, you just have to call it like this, and then it will change it to false. So we're going to run this, and it should say this is true, and then this is false. No, it does not. Okay, I know what to do. So we're going to get rid of this. You don't understand what it is yet. It's okay. So I'm just going to create another if statement. Says b, if b equals true is false. Then we do this, and it should. Yeah, see, it says this is true, this is not true. So basically, I just showed you that we just have, originally when we started our program, b was true. And then when we checked for if b was true, we said it was true. And then we changed it to false. And then we checked for that. And then it said it's not true. So this is basically, I'm just giving you a general, basic understanding of, how this works. So literally there's only two values Booleans can be used for, true and false. And you can check for each value. Of course, you don't know what if statement is yet. We'll go into that later on. But that's basically, you can switch these at any time. You could say b equals true, and then b equals false, and then just change it back to true. Right? And then we make something to check for if it's true. And we do this. And then we do it again for if it's false. And then we run this. It will say true at first. Give me a moment. This is probably not the correct way of doing things, but I'm just trying to give you an idea here. Yeah, so yeah, just forget about what I did, but basically the earlier example, it worked out. Actually, the reason why this isn't coming up the way I want it is because the order of operations. So I didn't even go over that in the basic overview, so that's what we're going to go over right now. Whatever you put on the top is going to be run first unless you define it a different way, which is kind of through if statements and while loops and stuff like that. But for the most part in your program, it's just going to be running from the top down unless you define it to where it keeps looping something if a condition is that way. That's pretty much how games are made. They're just different loops and they're all called at the same time, and if a certain condition met, they just keep running, and if it isn't, then in this case it's just going to run through all this top down because we're not really doing anything crazy. But as you can see right here, I put a while loop while this is true, and if this is true, starts out true, right? And as you can see here, it keeps changing, it keeps printing true and false over and over again. That's because right here I set it to false, and then right here I set to true, and while this is true, we'll get into while loops in the future, but while this is true, it just keeps setting it back to true and false, and we've made something in the program where if b equals true, then we check for if it's true. So this is basically what you use Booleans for, and you can use this for settings. You could use it to, like, say if something happened or if somebody sent a message. You could really it just comes down to how you declare these and how you set it all up for your program. So you can get imaginative and creative, and you can do whatever you want. So as you can see, this program is running, and all it's doing is it's changing b to true and then false, and then checking for it, and then just telling us what it is over and over again. This really isn't an ideal use for it. This is just an example, but you can kind of get the idea of what you can do. But that'll pretty much end it for this video. I hope you understand. Hope you understand what these are used for. Again, all Boolean can store is true and false, and basically you can declare an if statement if something is true, whether it'll run or not. So you'll have to get imaginative. Really, when it comes to programming, a lot of it's you got to design it yourself. You have to imagine it yourself. So that's what Boolean is going to help you do. You're going to be able to do things a lot easier. And in the next video, we're going to go over different types, and in the future we're going to go over if statements and show you what you can do with those, because that's basically how you're going to be able to make your complex programs. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and goodbye.